What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode Michael Jordan of the Culture to Christ podcast, episode 2-3. Thank you guys for joining us today. We are your hosts, Alex and Aaron. If you guys have been listening to us for so long, please like the video on YouTube, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, leave a review to help others like you listening to our podcast who also enjoy our content. Aaron, how are you doing, bro?
Good, man. How was the Christmas?
It was chill. It was different. Of course, it was more homey, more intimate. You know, people are kind of staying away from their family, whether they believe they want to keep them safe or the government rules. It was just more, chill, more just simple. I slept a lot, to be honest, for the break. So I took the opportunity just to rest and just honestly reflect a lot. So
exactly.
It's time just to sit down, reflect, and get ready. How was yours?
It was good like yours. It's a lot different this year, but, can't complain. You have, your family there. Not everyone gets a chance to be with their families, especially with the travel restrictions. So it was a good time. But my buddy who actually, he listens to our podcast a lot, and he reached out to me the day, like on Christmas Day, and he's a tennis instructor in out west in Vancouver. And he told me that, so he was doing lessons out of like a private place that was, I guess the owner of that place just lets him coach, and he's not so, so stern on the rules of like lockdowns, because he understands that, especially like instructors, like other people who, let's say you own a restaurant or something, you can still do takeout and there's still some stream of revenue. But for instructors, if you're not teaching, right, there's no money there.
And especially at tennis, you can't do tennis online. You can't.
Like, and that's the thing about tennis, because there's so many instructors that they're used to having a certain amount of lessons each day, whether it's classes or private lessons, that now that the kids can't be there, there's no lessons to be done, right? So he told me that he had like a schedule of a couple kids who were
committed to him. Yeah,
who were still doing exactly, and then one of the kids, who he was waiting at the court for them, didn't show up. So then he ended up calling the kids' parents, right, saying like, hey, are you still going to be coming? And the parents said that, we're not going to be coming anymore because of like the lockdown, so we don't feel comfortable. So he was just like, oh, well, why wouldn't you guys give me like a heads up, at least letting me know, because I came here expecting
especially
to
during
give
the times we're in.
Yeah, right. And then the parents were just like, like you should, they tried to flip it on him by saying that, like, we just don't feel comfortable now, and they didn't like say sorry for that mistake, right? And then he ended up having to pay for that hour himself to cover it, and then and he just told me that story briefly, because I asked, like, he wished me Merry Christmas and everything. I was like, how's everything going?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was just like, like, it was just shitty today, because in a time where we need all the money we can get,
absolutely,
like, now he had to come out of pocket and pay for that hour of court time, and court time is not cheap. Like, it's still like, 50
any parent would know. It's like, if you're going to cancel last second, you got to pay for the time. Like, like my dad does ice instructing, you got to pay the rink. You can't just, like, sports, especially private instructor for tennis, like, that's a special niche. Like, and it should be cost money, because it takes, a lot of skill and effort to teach that. And for that to be like flipped, to be like, it's COVID and stuff, and the whole thing, right? We talked about how every excuse can be COVID. So people now are just getting away with all this stuff, saying, oh, no, we're scared COVID and you should be doing this and all this stuff. It's like, everything is against like private small business owners, right? Yeah. Especially if you're your business. Like, you have to travel to go to places. You don't have a tennis facility where people are just coming in and out, right? You got to rent out. So, and
it's crazy because him having access to that private place is like a blessing, because not a lot of people are fortunate enough to know people like that, who will open, like us, who can play at certain private rinks where they're not treating the lockdown the same as a public rink, right? So, the fact that he reached out and told me that story, I was like, like, it pissed me off, and I was like, bro, like, that's crazy.
And is he still going to be able to keep going coming into the new year? Is he still able to keep that going, or is it? I'm not sure. Like, is it a business that's fading? Is like,
well, because like members, they're not allowed to play like usual, because the way tennis works is you book your court time and then you play for the allocated time that you booked, right? But now with the restrictions, you're not allowed as many members in the club at once. So, like the owner of that club is bending the rules for certain people.
Is he increasing how much it costs as well?
Yeah, they have to, because court time went up too.
So he put some money down. He had
exactly.
to pay. Wow. Yeah. Well, shout out to your boy. Hope everything works out. Like it's.
But I never thought of that. Like the tennis instructors, of like how have they been doing during this pandemic? Or any instructors? Or what if like swimming instructors? There's all these people who are in like those jobs that require people to teach.
I know, and they're not given what they deserve. They're not paid for what they deserve. The hours they work, early mornings, late nights. They answer phone calls like you're. That's why it's getting very difficult for people to run your own business, to try to build your own thing, because the government doesn't think it's valuable, doesn't think it's important, and it won't help you out, right? And people now are so more comfortable just to go to something cheap. Like people, I know personally, parents that rather just pay to a facility that's known for their kids to go. Like I taught skating, so when I taught skating, I worked for City of Mississauga, and like parents are more comfortable just sending their kids to skating for the City of Mississauga than going to actually like hockey players to learn like how to skate, and it's like big governmentally owned places always get the money, they always get the funding, but it's these businesses who actually put in the effort, put in the hours, have the self-efficacy to believe in themselves, to actually work hard, they're getting screwed over. So we know that the system is backwards. Even coming into the new year, it's like, okay, you know what? It's time to understand how this system works and how it can try to benefit me. You and I both know that the online world is growing. We have to figure out, how can I take my skill, how can I take my gift and translate that into an online system somehow? Whether that's, so say it's, use your friend, for example. If it's tennis lessons, it's, he's making a tennis sample book on how to improve at home, or he's making workouts for tennis specific, right? He's trying to not only, because you have to do both nowadays, right? So you have to be able to provide some value, do Instagram videos, whatever it is, because when now it's like you have to pay for a facility that, lucky someone, but what if they cancel? Now they cancel, now you're paying out of pocket. So it's like your job, you're not even making, you're making income, but it's mostly just revenue. It's not actually profit. So we have to be getting, unfortunately, online. Like technology is increasing. Amazon made how much money through this pandemic? Amazon made over like $1 billion. Bezos made over $1 billion. Facebook made money. So like it's going to show that if you're someone that works with your hands, it's different if you're in construction. Like everyone needs plumbing. Like that stuff is. But if you're like more into like sports and if you don't have a government body helping you out, like chiropractors do and physios, you have to get online. You just do. And if you're uncomfortable, it's time to get uncomfortable.
Don't be a sheep.
Don't be a sheep. Be a hawk. Okay. Had to be said.
It had to be done. Right?
It had to be done. So that's where I'm seeing a lot of people. They're good they're good with people in person, but the second it's like, you have to talk on a screen, talk on a camera, right? Put yourself out there. It's like even doing this podcast. Like I've grown a lot having to put my voice on an audio and listening back, being like, wow, there's some things I got to focus on. I'm getting uncomfortable a bit, right? So you have to be able to transition and get uncomfortable into the online world, because you can reach more people that way. So say your friend is doing tennis in Vancouver, it's like, okay, there's people around the world who want to learn tennis, or like want someone who's specifically good at tennis that can reach you now from different countries if you're online. So say like, the gyms are all closed. You can't teach tennis. It's like, what can you do? Like handball skills in the house, yeah. Something, right?
Just adapt. Yeah. Do you follow Dave Portnoy?
I've heard of his name. I don't know who that is.
So he's the owner of Barstool Sports.
Okay.
And he started a fund. So basically someone called him out, like a famous actor, I think, challenged him by saying, why don't you put up $500,000 and I'll put up $500,000 and we'll start saving some of these restaurants and some of these businesses during the pandemic, right? Like we'll start a fund for them. And Dave Portnoy is like, okay. He's like, I'm down. Like, let's do it. And now, like, fast forward to today, they've raised over $9 million.
Blessings, God. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been calling all of like restaurants, like any business that has been affected by the pandemic, like in the States, but successful businesses. Because he doesn't just want, he's helping like the businesses that have been established, that are proven to be successful, that might close, because he's trying to save those, because he's like, that's so unfair, right? Like you guys are doing everything that the government has told you, and you guys are still like not making enough money.
100%.
So Dave reached out to them saying that we're going to be there for you guys for the whole, like, until the pandemic's over. So not just like 1 month where it's like if you burn through that money, you're done.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like they're actually pooling all their resources, like $9 million. That's a lot for.
How much and how fast did they raise that $9 million? Was that throughout the whole?
Within the past 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
You should go on his page, and he's just been posting all of like the stories. Like he FaceTimes the owners of these businesses and saying, you know, you've been selected to receive this amount of money. And he doesn't put a limit on how much. He says to the people, you tell us how much you need and show us what you're going to use it for.
That's a good lesson right there, man. Like to see how like he's about giving and not like giving with like an asterisk on the side, like, yeah, I want 10% of your business.
No, he's just letting them, yeah.
And that's using the, you know, your name, your brand to help others, right? Like that goes to show too, right? Like once you get to a certain place, you rise up, get so big. It's like, yo, how can I have all this attention, all this wealth, whatever. How can I find ways that's still respectable? Like you said, he's not just helping random businesses. It's like ones that were established, but truly just getting fucked over.
Yeah, because he knows that it's impossible for him to save every business. Like he's been getting thousands of requests every day. So he has his team that are going through them, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's as fair for like a brand new business to receive funding before like an established business that has a proven track record, has a lot of employees to take care of, and like those guys need the help.
Do you know any of those restaurants? Like, have you been to?
Yeah, a couple of them. Like, because he's based in New York, right? So New York City has been fucked. Like, if you look at Ghost Town, and the rent in New York is like insane.
Is that because of Cuomo? That Cuomo guy is pretty sneaky.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the U.S., like it seems like every state is like failing when it comes to getting businesses money and people money, right? Like we see right now, like they're still arguing over whether
that stimulus check is it the stimulus
over
check?
The $2,000. Like they
give them the money, bro.
$600 or $2,000. Like they're still arguing about that right now. Like us here in Canada, we already had CERB going for how long?
CERB bottles have been being popped since the beginning. People have been popping CERB bottles for time in Canada, right? So. I can't believe that like it's so
that's
so
why
amazing.
You know what the restaurants have been saying, like with Dave, they're like, it's crazy how it takes someone like you who owns Barstool to actually, because he gets the money to people right away, like 24 hours.
And he's getting just one actor, or there's other actors who are also getting.
It originally started with the actor who challenged him, but now
was this a big actor? Was this someone that was widely known?
I don't think he was that big, but he was just following Dave.
Yeah.
So now because Dave he knows a lot of like celebrities and people who have money. So now they've been putting more money into the fund. So they asked Dave, like, now what's your goal for the fund? And he's like, I want Elon Musk, because Elon Musk told Dave, he's like, you should run for president. And you know, I guess they started talking a bit. So now Dave said to Elon, like, yo, if you got involved with, like, you're one of the richest guys in the U.S., right? If you came into this fund,
that's what I was
we
thinking
would be able to save so many more people, right? So many more businesses. So he's like basically saying like to Elon, like, you know, put your money where your mouth is and, you know, step up.
It's a good challenge because like even Jeff Bezos, this guy's billions of dollars. He made billions.
That's crazy. You said Jeff Bezos, because I had that on my TV of Dave like talking about how he wants Elon Musk involved, and then my dad goes, "What about Bezos? Like, child, that guy makes more money than anybody right now."
And the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is drastic, and he made billions more this year.
Yeah, Dave is worth about $100 million, but he's put up so much more money than other billionaires. And then it's crazy how it takes guys like Dave to do this, and while the U.S. government is deciding how much money should we be giving to people, and you know, how long is it going to take?
This guy's bringing back to life dead businesses, while the government paddles over $600 to $2,000
it's ridiculous
for people to do nothing with it, so they can go buy Christmas gifts, right, or go buy Boxing Day sales. And, you know, that's why it's good to see homegrown, like, businesses like Barstool's in Boston, right? So it's more...
New York.
Is it New York or Boston?
He was born in Boston.
He was born in
Boston?
Boston?
But it's based out of New York.
Okay, but to see, like, those homegrown, like, new, younger, millennial businesses that think outside the box, that still care about people, and they're not stuck in their ways. Like, they're trying to find new ways to... Because they realize when people don't care what you know until you care. Right, so you can know a lot of stuff, but until you care, no one gives a shit. So it's good to see that, challenging actors, money's coming up, and it's good because I think people want to. It's like jumping on the train, right? You see that it's helping people. You don't need the government. Like it goes to show too. It's like, do you really need the government to make these decisions for us? We have these independent businesses helping people, right? And it's like part of that community like that they build there. So like that's inspiring to hear, because I didn't know that.
And even so Spittin' Chicklets, who's under Barstool, like Barstool owns their podcast. You know, when COVID first started, they started a fund for bartenders, you know, because a lot of bartenders got laid off.
And they drink Pink Whitney. They drink Pink Whitney, yeah.
So they started a fund right away for them. And they started a fund for ECHL players, because ECHL players, their contracts were terminated. They weren't guaranteed, and they stepped up. So it's like Barstool, like they're like, shout out to them, because they're stepping up big time.
And they're growing big. Like they have some of the biggest podcasts.
But at least they give back. Like they're not just doing it for themselves, right?
And people forget, like, that's how you actually have long-term success and longevity, is you're thinking about like adding back into your community. Where a lot of, like we see the government and big corporations don't think like that. We have conglomerates who make massive amount of all the money, and they give you jobs. Like they can offer jobs, but they don't actually try to help you. Let me help you grow your own thing. Instead, no, come work in my factory. I got more Amazon factories are building, Facebook and Google and all that stuff. They own all the market, right? And that's what you see it's happening now, where they're trying to get, even in the States, they're trying to make legislation of stop, like they own everything. They own all your data, everything. So it's good to hear that, because there's a lot of more takers and givers.
And I think Bill Gates and Bezos right now, they're more focused on developing vaccines rather than saving other people's livelihoods.
Dude, they're trying to make their stocks go up. And
how much money has been invested into vaccines compared to just saving normal people's businesses that you eat at, that you shop at, that you take for granted every day. Like these are immediate people whose lives that you can change, and everyone's focused on, developing vaccines. Like how are we going to make sure that we can track everybody who has it?
And they gaslight you in the media to make you think that they care about you. They care about their money, because a lot of these guys that they've built these billion-dollar businesses, they came from a place of either extreme privilege, like Bill Gates' privilege growing up. You told me how he made his business, right? He wasn't some supreme genius who came from nothing. Or they come from a place of lack. Like they really just want to have something of themselves because they came from nothing, or they're feeling like there's something's missing, right? So a lot of these guys who they love power, they've always wanted power because they never had it. Once they get it, they get so addicted they can't look anywhere else. They can't think of actually helping people. It's whatever comes to, but what's coming to me first, right? How does Amazon get bigger, right? And you see Bill Gates is like, once you make all this money, it's like, hey, money's not a problem. What's the next thing? It's my life, and like they skew this whole vaccine thing, how they're trying to make it seem like we're going to give it to the poorest populations first. We're going to give it to these people first. It's sad. It's truly sad.
And that's why Dave Portnoy, he does pizza reviews every day to help him stay grounded and humble.
He's the guy who goes to, is he the guy who, I see him all the time on these videos. He's the one who's eating these, like he goes to the small mom and pop shops of pizza places. Yeah. And like Italian places, and
so he puts a spotlight on places that that are owned, like places that are hidden gems, and he goes to chains too, like anywhere where he is traveling to, or where he currently like is based, like where he's traveling to, but he's based in New York, but he travels a lot. But he'll always do pizza reviews every day, no matter where he is, because he shines light.
Is that how he started? Is that one of the things? Did he start a trend like that where?
Well, when he started Barstool, it was a sports media company, right? Where he focused on social media, funny videos, content. Like he had so many different avenues of of what like a fan who doesn't care about like the politically correct opinion towards like sports are. Yeah. So like all of his guys, they swear, they do like
behind the scenes conversation,
uncensored stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he marketed that, and then now like look, now they have everything. They have videos, they have podcasts. Everyone knows Barstool now, but to this day, like Dave, the guy's worth $100 million, and he sold part of the company for like $450 million. But like he doesn't have to do food reviews anymore, pizza reviews, but he still does it every day, multiple places to keep him grounded. So he's seeing the people that like are serving him like $3 pizzas, or and he's still shining light on them, so people know that when you're in the city, go to this place and support.
Spend some money, spend some money on these things.
So that's why I think like for us too, we got to get out there in Toronto and start going to like some businesses. Food plate, like because food places are still open right now, so we got to get out there and like start shining light on a lot of the the struggling businesses. Like
100%.
we went to Tig's place, Le Gourmand, but now we have to show people like the actual cookie or there's other stuff there.
Yeah,
you know,
that cookie, that's a good cookie. No, it's real. Like we have to start doing that content, going out there. You know, we're talking about a lot, and now it's time to do the walk. Right?
Even Adamson Barbecue, like there's places like that you know they put themselves out there for you know, to get fined, to get sent to prison. So the least we can do now is going out there and like you know, showcasing their food to other people, because some people, you know, they don't know that the food's actually good too.
And because we all learn through our phones now. Like Barstool Sports, they're good because they understand their market, right? They grew because people are on their phones. They understand young millennials. There's a lot of mom and pop shops who don't understand digital media. Like they think newspapers or their TV. And the TV, you never hear any news talk about any small pop shops. It's COVID, COVID, COVID. So yeah, we have to get out there because we can help them, because people don't know about these places. Like, you know, so many places that I've never heard of, like, because through word of mouth. But like, if you can push and post that stuff, we can do more YouTube videos, you know, do food reviews of places that people of real food, like to have real background, real culture. That's not your big food chains that everyone just wants to go to.
And especially before some of these places end up closing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know what's going to happen, or, you know, we don't know like if there's going to be lockdowns extended even further. So it's like now, like, that inspired me to, you know, really like showcase some of these struggling businesses that we talk about on here.
Yeah. And, you know, God will touch your heart, and you'll know when it's a sign from God. That's like, okay, like this is the next step, because we know coming New Year's, I think a lot of people, I don't like this new normal conversation. Like, I don't want us to get used to being like doing nothing. Like getting used to the lockdowns, getting used to wearing a mask, getting used to being lazy, stagnant, because it's like, man, when you have God, it touches your life and you know what He's done for you. It's like, yo, I got to give back. Like,
and the government wants you to be stagnant. They want you to just, you know, stay home, wear a mask. So it's like, no, like you gotta turn the page, and you gotta keep it moving.
Because like it inspires me to hear stories. Like, I didn't know about this Barstool story, so that fires me up. You know, I know the story of that gym owner in New Jersey. I still follow him on Instagram. He literally has kept his gym open since the beginning, and he gets $15,000 fines every single day.
Crazy.
Every single day, they took away his business license, so he figures out how to sell apparel and stuff, and all his members still show up, and like he has a whole system. He has and there's no cases. So he's done there for 8 months, no cases. So like he's leading a generation of people being like, you know what, like, just because your government is going to use fear tactics on you, you don't have to listen. You can figure it out, right? So I think even going into the new year, you know, us wanting to do that, provide new content, show these businesses that don't have that access, don't have that attention, I think is something that, God, you know, wants us to do, right? We're in a place of privilege. It's like, use that for something good.
Yeah. You know, there was another sports facility, because you brought up the New Jersey gym.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a sports facility that reached out to Dave and told Dave that we're not allowed to have any members in here, and we're not allowed to have anyone use like the basketball courts or anything, but we still have to pay $60,000 in taxes for having a facility like this. So they reached out to Dave, and then Dave helped them. He's like, I got that. Like, I'm going to pay it for you guys.
Wow.
Because he's like, it's ridiculous. Like, you're not allowed to have anybody use your facilities, yet the government still wants to collect that $60,000 from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
For taxes. So imagine how many people are going through that.
I think it's a majority. Like, honestly, the majority. I don't see how many can stay open if maybe they have funds they've saved, but I don't see how, unless people like us who want to go out there, like Dave Portnoy is a good, you know, like you said, snowball effect. You get one guy who has built something big to really give back, to show like, man, you get one life. Like, everyone's trying to hoard their money. It's like, there's tons of people who have the top 10%, 5% who have so much of their money, man, and they think of just giving it to their children or whatever, or putting it somewhere else. It's like, man, you don't know idea the impact you do for somebody when you just give them a chance. Like, yeah, Dave Portnoy is not giving his money to just random lazy people, but like businesses who really strove for something. That's what bothers my mind, because people who build small businesses have taken the biggest risks, and they're getting fucked. But yet people who've lived comfortably lazy their whole life, they've been good, because they have their job, their office job. They work at the bank, right? So it's just so disheartening to see those who actually hustle and go through those struggles to then be like, hey, yeah, you're done.
And it's the politicians who are, you know, enforcing these things, and because they're comfortable.
Yep, they've been that's why I always tell people, like, there's two mindsets going on here, right? There's those who don't understand why people can't stay inside and they can't follow COVID rules. I'm like, bro, you're going to your job. Like, you don't have to think to do your job. There's a business made. You're good. This guy has to think about every single faction. Where's his food coming in? When's the prep coming in? Who's got to pay taxes? All this stuff. Landlord. Like,
did you hear today? Rob Ford, one of his, I guess one
is he going on a diet?
No, I think it's one of his associates that are part of his team. They like the news found out that he just left on vacation somewhere.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so like it's gonna be huge. Like this week, it's gonna be really rough for him. You'll hear about it tomorrow. You know, they could just like before it came out, I heard it on CP24, and now everyone's pissed because like the guy, I guess like his right hand man, left for vacation. So imagine you went to like Florida or something.
Wait,
during
who?
The pandemic.
Rob Ford's right hand man, or
yeah, Rob Ford, like a guy on his, I guess in his cabinet.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah,
This guy, like, he initiated a lockdown or something, and then he left.
yeah, for vacation. So now they're trying to find out where did this guy go.
And is he allowed to leave? Like, it's kind of weird.
He said he already
they-
had the vacation already planned ahead.
Oh, but
But so did how many other millions of Canadians
Bro,
who ended
people
up
aren't
having to take credit back from the airlines.
yeah, it's not even vacations. Guys are losing their business.
I know.
You're talking about your vacation?
That's why he's like, he had to take it. Had to be done.
It had to be done. As a politician, I really serve
How
the people.
hypocritical is that?
Yeah, we know politicians don't serve the people; they serve their agendas. Like, I don't know how anyone who there might be some good people who try to do honorable work in politics, but we know politics is based on leveraging, manipulation, having things run your way. You can make backside deals.
You know, even like the governor or the mayor of, it's either the governor of California or the mayor of LA during the pandemic when he shut down restaurants. He went to like a fine dining 5-star restaurant.
I saw the video.
You saw that, right? To have dinner.
Dude, the guy he did an apology. Politicians are the biggest fakes, the biggest actors. They remind me like it's like I remember watching his video of him talking. He was like, "I made a mistake. I have to be accountable." It's like, bro, like everything to use a script. They just read prompters and they're on TV. Like they don't do anything.
But he doesn't get fined or
doesn't get fined because
nothing.
he runs it, man. You can't once you run it. That's why to me it's just. I want to do those things to go to those small businesses who are getting screwed by politicians who've had their jobs this entire time, and they'll continue to have their jobs, right? Because they live in fear, right? Because if they speak up or they go against for what is the plan right now, they lose their jobs too, right? So the fact that this guy. And aren't flights kind of delayed right now too with this current lockdown in Canada?
Yeah,
like
there's a lot less flights.
What allows some people to fly and others not to?
Well, I think that because they have to make sure there's enough space between people.
Oh
so
yeah,
there's
the 6
less
feet
seats available.
The 6 feet distance. They're doing that now.
How stupid is that too? Like
Yeah.
you get up and walk past someone, like
You get COVID.
But also there's less flights to certain places because there's less people flying. So, that's why people thought that flight prices were going to come down during COVID. It didn't get any cheaper because there's less flights going, and they know if you want to go somewhere, you're going to have to pay regardless.
Yeah,
so that's a problem.
Apparently there's a I know guys have commented that we talk a lot about the current pandemic and the lockdown, but apparently there's a we'll talk about it shortly, a new strain of COVID.
Yeah.
Now, do you believe in this strain, or do you think it's just propaganda making it so they can just prolong this BS?
I already think that even if you look at the first strain, it's debatable.
Yeah.
Like I said from the start that if you have the flu and you go do a COVID test, what do you think you're going to test for?
What'd you see?
And how many stories have you heard of people who have taken the test and they get mixed results?
Well, did you see they did a Coca-Cola test? They did.
Yeah, I sent that to you.
Yeah, they tested. Either they test Coca-Cola
and tested positive,
or did they drink the Coca-Cola and then do the test?
No, they put the test inside the Coca-Cola cup and it came positive.
So guys, Coca-Cola has COVID. Don't buy the stocks. Don't buy it. Stick to Pepsi.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, stick to Pepsi. No free ads. So that's why for me, when I hear that there's a new strain in London, England.
What does that even mean
I'm
now?
like, new strain? I'm like, I think if you, because I come from a fitness and health background, so I already know what it's like to take care of the body and what is real. And most people are very uneducated because I think, especially where we live, we're very privileged and we just kind of have our routines. And now it's like we realize that freedom is not just given, and now that the government closed everything down, it scares people. Most people think, oh yeah, that's a scary virus and I might die. Oh, let's stay in lockdown. What I know that you can die from many different ways. And the COVID strain is all propaganda, I believe. It's propaganda. They'll just call it COVID-20, COVID-21, COVID-22. And because that the whole vaccine, even what it's doing to people, like we're seeing it on videos, people fainting, their face drooping. It's like, why would you want, so for a virus that has 98% survival, and then you're going to take a vaccine that you can't even sue the company that makes the vaccine if anything happens? Like, why do you trust that? Right? So I try to discern people, but no one educates themselves. It's like, I take the time out of my day. I get it, right? People get busy, but now it's like, if you have this lockdown coming up and you have the new year coming around, to start to educate yourself.
But right now the government has the advantage because they know how many people just want to go back to normalcy. And, the people who were against vaccines, a lot of them now will just take it because they're sick of all the lockdowns. They want to be able to travel. They want businesses to reopen. They just want clubs to reopen. So the government knows they have the advantage. And when all the new vaccines come over to Canada, specifically like Moderna and Pfizer, that so many people are just going to be willing to take it.
To me, I think that they're signing a death sentence. I really believe that people who take the vaccine, I think, yeah, maybe the first year you're going to be okay. But
who knows, right? It hasn't been around long enough to know the long-term health effects. So you don't know. And, it's for a lot of people too, some of them, they think they have no choice because, their employers will force it on force them to take it. And we don't know people's situations. That's the sad thing.
So what gives you the courage to know you're not going to take it? What really, for the listeners listening that say they want to take it, there's listeners that definitely probably want to take it. They're like, I want to get back to my life, bro. Like, I need to do my thing. Just give me the vaccine.
I don't want to tell people that want to take it not to take it because I don't think that's our place to tell people what they should be doing with their bodies. You decide. Exactly. But that's what I think it should be about. Mm-hmm. You can't be forcing people to inject a vaccine that they don't want in them just so they could work at a place or, travel or be able to go to the gym. Like, that's insane to me, right? But me personally, I like, the reason why I'm not taking the vaccine is because I don't even take the flu shot. And if you ask me when was the last time I took the flu, I can't even tell you when. That's how long it's been. And I'm not saying that I'm Superman or like I'm better than anybody, but I like to think that I take care of myself and my body like in a way where it's it's manageable. Where it's like I don't think that a vaccine is going to protect me more than me eating healthy and exercising and working out. Like, we all have that decision to make for ourselves. And some people, I think they like to think of the vaccine as a easy way out. And, and politicians, they force that ideology on people where the vaccine is it's a safe way to get back to normalcy, even though we know that that's the mentality they want to put on you for everything in life.
Yes.
Where it's like, don't work on your immune system, don't exercise, don't work out, don't eat right.
Yes.
Just take the vaccine. That's all you need.
Yeah. And the thing there is, it's staying in your comfort zone. Constantly stay in your comfort zone. Let us take care of you. And
because if they cared about your health, gyms would be open.
Yes, they don't care. I'll be honest, they don't care. They don't tell you what foods to be eating, what foods help you with if you have, we saw that the medical doctors got taken away. I will not take any vaccine from any company going forward because now they're in data and now they're in technology and these 5G towers. Like, I think people they'll just call out conspiracy theory if you have a different opinion, right? Instead of having a conversation of why we disagree, they're like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, look at this past year. Tell me if someone said this to you in 2019, you'd believe them. You wouldn't. Right. So now for me, I keep my ears open. If people give me an idea or a thought, I don't go, dude, that's conspiracy theory. Now I listen because I'm seeing these lockdowns that are unjustified, people killing themselves and all these businesses. So now I'm open to hear. Right. And for me, it's like, we have a gym. I've been pretty outspoken. I think the thing that bothers me is the whole mask thing. And, culture nowadays is very sensitive. People are so willing now to tell everyone to put on a mask. Like, everyone's a health expert. But people you love and care about, you can't tell them to stop eating like shit, go work out, because that's fat shaming. So I find that very ironic now that we're okay with telling everyone, hey, put your mask over your nose, put your mask on, when we know for a fact, that's not stopping any virus. But when it came to health nowadays, there's too many contradictions that for me, even as a health expert, the government doesn't know health. I've said it before, they don't care. I really want to tell people during this time, you have January coming around, New Year's resolution, you do want to do all these different kind of things. You can now just educate yourself, but take your time with it to know, okay, what is the betterment for myself and the people around me? Because you might think that this is a good quick fix and now I can get back to my life, but you don't know what life's going to be like if you're in a hospital bed for the next 6 months, for the next 12 months.
Did you hear, remember in the dressing room when Dom, who his girlfriend works in, was it Mount Sinai Hospital? Yeah, that's where she works. And she said that she saw someone get the vaccine and then her face started drooping. And that's like it's a common thing, it's not like just with this vaccine,
Bell palsy or something it's called. Yeah. It's a side effect. It's a neurological effect from taking the vaccine. Apparently, it can be fixed over time, but that still doesn't make sense to me. So we've been over, I guess, close to a year of a virus being spread, right? And I haven't seen people's faces drooping from this virus or people falling and dying, right? It's been the stats are out that certain amount of people that are compromised or older are getting it. But now we're saying everyone, we want to take away your lifestyle unless we have to take this take this vaccine. And to me, it's time to stop living in the normalcy and the comfort we've been given and privileged with and just start educating on what really matters, right? What really matters going into this next year. We talked about how we want to help other businesses now grow because we know that those businesses, those people took a stand on something. They want to grow something. They believe in themselves. And I want, even because I know Canada is very liberal, very socialist type. We want to help the neighbor. We're kind. Oh, yeah, I'll put on a mask. No worries, man. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. All that kind of stuff where we're seeing now, like even with the Trudeau, fantastic actor, not really helping anyone, just making tons of money for himself, right? So it's time to really kind of step out of the normalcy and the comfort zones and kind of speak out on different things, because if you don't, one day it's not going to just be a vaccine. It's going to be, you're going to go to this camp until you take a vaccine, right? Because that's what it's coming to. And people, we're great at not saying anything until it happens. We're great at going conspiracy theory. No, you're conspiracy theory. That's crazy. When you look at this whole year, if you wrote that down and told someone a year before, they would not believe you either. So for me, it's like, you're going to prepare to do things in your life, prepare to help people, to understand, even look at the history of the world, look at different governments and powers in different countries and how they operated.
I think it's only going to get worse in general in terms of our freedoms and our rights. Everything just gets slowly taken away, right? Like, it's nothing surprising now. So if the government knows that, we can lock down all of these things and take away people's livelihoods and it's still okay, like no one's rioting. We only saw Adamson Barbecue is the only guy in all of Ontario to actually take a stand and want to open his restaurant. So one guy out of the hundreds of thousands of businesses, like that's an amazing percentage for us.
Yep.
So the more that they can, take away things that we take for granted every day, and nothing happens, they're going to continue to flex their muscles. That's what the government does.
And when we take things for granted too, we allow the government to abuse us, right? So now it's like the last 8 to 12 months, however the lockdown's been, we've accepted the government's rule, right? And then we're like, we just gave them our lives. And it's like, we need to redefine what we call freedom, right? There's a story of a guy who was serial killer, and he was sent to jail, and this jail was the worst jail in the States. Like a pastor would go and you'd see blood on the walls, blood on the floors. It was a gong show, and the guy who ran the jail brought Bibles and started giving Bibles to everyone, and started to see the next year it became the most safest place in all prisons in the United States. But it was the worst before. And when the pastor went to interview one of the guys who had tons of joy, his life was in prison, sentenced. He asked what he did. He's like, you don't want to know what I did, but I am more free now in my life than my family, who I know is living in the States right now out of prison, because we have a misconception of what we think freedom is. When we look at today's time, look at the way we're living right now, we're not free. Like, we have to be wearing these masks, we have to do check-ins, we have to do checks. If we go travel somewhere, we have to go sit in a place for 2 weeks.
Give your name when you sit in a restaurant.
Give your name, sign in, give your name, check the emails. Like freedom is very misinterpreted, and I think even during this time, people need to, like I say over and over and over again, like education doesn't just come when you go to school. Like you can learn things, you can learn new things. If you can't go to your gym, like for me, I couldn't go to my gym workouts, couldn't do my normal routine, right? And I was stressing about it. I was anxious. Government had me. I was pissed. But I took the time to say, you know what, let me educate myself on stuff that I wouldn't have the time to do because I was so in my routine. And I learned that we take for granted so many things, and we give the freedoms away that people have died for in past wars, right? Like you look at different government leaders in different countries, how they abuse people, they put people in camps, whether that be for their faith background, whatever. We have to be able to use our voice and speak up, whether or not it's going to offend people, because, yeah, like you said, like there's going to be something else. There's going to be the next thing. There's going to be, if people don't speak up now, it's going to be harder, because we see now police officers, they have a job to do, and they're just arresting people because they're told, because they work for their government. Do you think these police officers actually believe what they're doing? A lot of them probably not. Like you got a kid who's playing hockey in a hockey rink and he's getting arrested for skating outside.
And hockey is supposed to be essential in Canada.
Dude, it doesn't matter what it is. You're outside. You're outside. He's getting exercise, and now he's getting arrested for breaking what? What rules is he breaking?
Even
what
kids,
virus?
The kids that were tobogganing during Christmas, they had bylaw officers come and separate them because they were too close to their friends. That's the world we're living in today.
Right.
You know, and like it's just sad to see people who are okay with it and who are defending governments in the comments of, you know, whatever pages post these type of things, instead of, and then again, like, you know, comments only do so much, but it's your perception and it's your opinion that counts, because if you're constantly being one of those people who are defending the government by saying we all need to take this serious and be safe, and more lockdowns. Like, there's people who like the lockdowns, who think that should be,
they preach,
you know,
bro.
It should
it's
be
like
extended.
The religion. Yeah, it's like the religion.
And that's scary to me, because these are the people who, you know, they instill more fear into people who may be on the fence. And the people on the fence are the ones who are very vulnerable.
Yes. And like God touched something on my heart. He's like, Alex, the devil's working overtime here. He's like, you know the truth and you're being silent. You're not doing any service for me. You're actually being a coward. For me, honestly, when I don't speak up when I believe it, I feel like I'm a coward. I'm afraid of being judged or being hated on. We're like, no, I have to say this now while I still can. And even for me, when I was working at the school and there was kids with masks on, and I would tell the kids, because I worked at the school, hey, like, put your mask on. And like God hit me. He's like, bro, you don't even believe in this. But I was so ingrained at working at a place. My biggest thing was, if I'm told something to do at a job, I like to follow the rules. That's very Canadian. You know, you're told to roll, your third line grinder, do your job. But I'm like, you know what? These kids, I'm like, you don't got to wear your mask, bro. You know, and I think more people should be like that, because, you know, the greatest scheme that this whole thing is done, separating people. You have people hating each other or getting triggered when someone doesn't have a mask on. It's like, you have to understand that people have different beliefs. If that person is not wearing a mask, it's not affecting you. It's not ruining your life. It's almost, I call it undercover hating, because we used to hate people for their skin color. We used to hate people for their religion of practice. We used to hate people for their sexual identity, if, you know, whatever it is. And now the government's so smart that they made this virus where they can now set people apart based on their health. Because if we can scare people about dying, you'll create a serious divide. People who are afraid to die and people who understand that they're given freedoms and want liberty, right? So for me, if you guys don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask, right? And you know, it'll be difficult. People are going to go nuts. You're going to get Karens all over the place. You're going to get Karens, you get people pulling out a camera, but your health matters. And if you stand up, like Aaron said, there's people on the fence. They're like, they don't know which way to sway. And we know that the people who want lockdowns are louder right now. We know they're louder. And we know a lot of times they're lazy. They're lazy people. They're, you know, they have their comfort government jobs. They probably work for the government somewhere, or they're getting baby mama checks, right? They're getting their government checks from them, you know, whatever, right? Or they're getting the Sir bottles. So for me, it's like, I rather, you know, to die on the sword and speak out for things that I think is erogenous, because the facts are out there that also there's more damage being done from the lockdowns that have nothing to do with the virus.
And a lot of the people, I think, that who are in favor of lockdowns, they don't have social lives anyways.
Yes.
So they don't play on teams. They don't go out. They just stay at home all day and just comment on Six Buzz.
Yep.
Or they're just in the comment section nonstop.
Yep.
And the government loves those type of people because those are their strongest advocates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we'll see like when 2021 starts, right? And we'll see where they take the vaccine, like if they make it mandatory at what levels. We know we know some places will make it mandatory, but it's gonna be interesting to see where it becomes mandatory.
Well, Frank told me his friend's girlfriend was a nurse or security. I think it's a nurse somewhere, but they said she didn't have to take it. So they didn't force her. So that's a good sign that someone that works at a hospital.
That's shocking.
Yeah. So
is that in the States though?
I think
here.
I think it was Canada.
Yeah, because Canada, like I think the health minister, I think he said that one of the places where they're going to make it mandatory first is in the hospitals.
And then for the nurses and the doctors?
Yeah, and then he said like schools after. And then he's like they're going to be talking about travel restrictions.
So what do you think do you think there are doctors who don't believe in this and they can say I'm just not going to take it, or do you think they'll lose their jobs?
Or I think that some of the doctors, they'll just get one of their buddies to say that he took it, because they can look out for each other. If you're a doctor and you have another doctor who can fill out the form for you by saying he was a witness to you getting your vaccine, then you're good. So it's like it's the same thing. Like there's gonna be a big black market too
for those cards.
So if anyone has hookups, like DM us.
DM me, DM me. Let me know. I want those hookups.
Yeah. We need that.
Also, too, if you guys are unaware that there are different companies making different vaccines. So Pfizer, Moderna were the first, but there are other companies that are actually taking their time to get the better vaccine out there. But if you say you're being forced based on your job, you can say you have an anaphylaxis allergy. So if you have an allergy, you don't have to take it because you're allergic to fish, whatever. You say that to your doctor. Don't just say, I ain't taking it because these are my rights. Just give them like, I have these allergies, anaphylaxis. I can't take it. I might die. And also, you can also deny the mRNA one that carries that gene. So there's the Pfizer, Moderna, I believe, have that mRNA gene in it. Even Elon Musk talks about mRNA, how that to understand the human genome and DNA, we can change human beings. Like we can change the way they function, change the way they think. So like I said, ask yourself why they have DNA in a vaccine that's supposed to be for a COVID virus, right? So if you guys have to or forced to take it coming in the new year, who knows what's 2021 is going to be like. That's some things you can do, allergies, and then say you're not safe for the mRNA. For those who have been listening to us throughout this year, we're very thankful, very grateful for you guys who stuck around. What do you think, Aaron, you want for the new year? What is something because we want to take on a lot of things. We want to do a bunch of different things, New Year's resolution. It's like, I got to do all these things. I gained so much weight from not going to the gym, or, I realized that I should start growing my own business because, I lost mine, or whatever it is. What is something that because you always say people like to do too many things at once.
Well, that's the thing. When New Year's comes around, we always see people who they think they're going to just change everything, become a totally new person. Mm-hmm. And it never pans out like that, because, a day is not going to change who you are, but because the clock changed, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's unrealistic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like we always said from the start, like have like a small list, one or two things that you want to work on, because I think that we try to take on too many things and then we end up just giving up because it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So like, me personally, I don't know exactly what I want to work on or what I want to change, but like a short-term goal is like what I said earlier is, we got to get out there while this is going on to, share some, like, it's not like we got to say, oh, we're going to start a fund today, everyone donate. It's like, no, like we do what we can. Yeah. And what we can do is go to these places and showcase some of their food for people, right? Yeah, like we have that ability, like we have followers, we have, money to be able to, buy food there and showcase them, because that's what they need. Yeah. Right. Like they need to be able to survive right now. And, it's like things like that, where I think that everyone in their own life has things that they're capable of changing realistically, not saying that, I don't think anyone should like completely 180 and think that, oh, January 1st comes, I'm going to be this type of person now, or I'm going to, like overnight I'm gonna be successful. Like it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
So like the small changes that you wanna accomplish, they need to be realistic.
Mm-hmm. And you need to be extremely patient with it. So like one thing, I think a lot of people, like I told you earlier, they think of the final goal, like what their life is going to be like. They'll be happy when they receive it. But we know many people that have given 10, 20 years of their life to this final goal and they feel empty. So being able to change one or two things, that's something that you can achieve daily. Like we said, the daily, like for me, obviously this podcast for us, my faith 10x because I decided to do a podcast about culture to Christ. And then there are the side benefits, right? Like it's about the small things. Okay, we do a podcast once a week. I prepare. It's not drastic. It wasn't like we're going to do this and it's going to be all this. It's like, do the podcast once a week and then you work on that slowly. And then because a lot of times too, we don't think about God's will for us. It's my will, Alex's will, Aaron's will. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to figure it all out every single day. I'm going to have everything organized and analyzed. It's like, focus on what God wants for you to do. Do one thing a day, daily, small steps, and then God will also be doing things. Because it's like, for me, it's like if I'm constantly like, okay, January 1st, or, people like, I got to lose weight, got to get jacked, got to get ripped, right? Or it's like, I'm going to make $1 million this year. I'm going to, whatever. I'm going to pick up 400 chicks. It's like these vanity goals that has nothing to do with God, right? It's like, if you're able to like put away all the noise, like get in your room and be like, okay, what can I really accomplish daily? Really like daily that I can slowly add to and be very patient with it and take away the noise, like take away the opinions from others, like do not listen. Like I think a lot of us, we love to hear the opinions of whoever's on TV or social media, and we don't listen to God, right? We don't listen. It's just like, no, but like this guy 10x his business this time, this guy's doing this guy's doing that. It's like, bro, there's something specific for you, right? Very specific. And I always say, like, how will I know? Right? Or how do I know that this is for me? Or it's like, you're going to have peace. You're going to have contentment, right? You're going to feel like I said, if you're doing it with God and for God's will, you're going to feel the presence that you can't buy. Because even if you are successful, you reach that point, you're going to want to buy that peace you can't afford, right? You're going to want to buy those good quality friendships that you built with it, because God will also put the right people in your place. And that's why I sent you that message for Christmas, like realizing this year's coming to an end. We've been able to put out 23 episodes. This is going to be the new year, 23 episodes, and we've been patient with it, right? We've seen the people that are listening, that are they're trying to listen to something different in this world, right?
And you like in anything, you got to learn how to crawl before you can run.
Yeah.
And like that's why I'm glad with Culture to Christ, how we take our time with it, and we didn't all of a sudden think like, oh, we should be doing 2 episodes a week right away, and try to like do all these crazy things. Like we just focused on once a week, get focused on the content and the messages we're trying to put out there. And we've seen people reach out to us all the time of like it's hitting home for them, and it's like something that they look forward to.
Amen.
So yeah, like and when you're in your own lane, like success is what you make it. Success is what, like, it's how you define it.
Exactly.
So like every episode, like we say, if one person like really feels the message, or can even take the time out of their day to reach out to us and tell us like, you're putting out that type of energy that I need, right? Or you're talking about things that I'm not hearing from other people, or you guys are helping me with my faith, then it's a win.
Amen.
So,
and we always say that one person matters, because you said today, the Dave Portnoy guy, that's one dude, and look at the impact he can do, because he stayed in his own lane.
And he actually followed through with it.
Yep.
With like a lot of people talk about, I'll give money, or like I'll donate, but they don't actually follow through with it. He actually is calling these people, telling them like, by tomorrow this money is going to be in your account. Like,
that's honorable, man.
It's crazy.
It's integrity.
He doesn't have to be doing that.
No.
This guy has enough money to just chill for the rest of his life, but he still goes out and he's still doing pizza reviews. Like,
I'm gonna start watching this. Like, I love pizza, and I'm gonna start watching these.
Like, who else would actually care about going to these places to give them some shine?
Nobody.
Like, when you're at that level, you're just like, I don't care. I'm done with it.
I got other things to do.
And every day he's still out there.
Damn.
So it's like that. It inspired me to tell you that we got to get out there too.
Well, guess what? When you tell me something, what do I do? I do it. So take away from that, guys, is your word means something, right? So when I think a lot of times too, we're so good at just saying stuff, like you said. Start taking care of the words you speak. You know, what you put out there is people hold you accountable. Like when you say stuff now, like people aren't going to respect you if you're one just running your mouth and you never do anything, right? You're good at really saying motivational taglines and you're not helping anybody, right? You're always in tryouts and practice season, but you never get in the game, right? So be consistent. Right? Be consistent with the small daily things. You got to know that it takes patience, and patience means years and years. Don't think of like, I got to do it in a week, got to get it done in a month.
But for all you know, it might happen quicker too. Like we don't know. Yeah. Like we don't know the timing for any of our endeavors, relationships, you know, new businesses, anything. Like we don't know because we're not God.
Exactly.
But you have to get things in motion. You stay faithful to him. You stay, you know, you pray, you keep him in that conversation, and when it's his timing, it's going to happen for you.
Amen.
And if it doesn't if it doesn't happen overnight, or it doesn't happen when you want, that's when you know that, you know, there's two things that you can take away from that when things aren't happening. It's either it's not meant for you, or you got to keep your head down and still work at it. Because like what you said before this, people give up too fast.
Yeah.
You know, they don't see the results right away, so they think, you know, like, I'm not meant for this.
100%.
It doesn't happen like that. Like, everyone has a different path.
So I want to leave you guys with some quotes before we go to the verse of the day. Thank you guys so much for listening. These are some quotes for me because sometimes it takes one quote, one line, some words to hear that kind of switch your mindset. And I want you guys to kind of take some things from you going into the new year with a different mindset. So some of the things that helped me in the time of the pandemic, the lockdown, to help me if I have to adjust. You're not the victim of your circumstances. So change from being a victim of your circumstances to a product of your choices. So right now you can look at the lockdown, look at the pandemic, look at everything around you, look at your circumstances, and become woe is me. Become, oh, I can't do this. Oh, the government's doing that. Don't become a victim of your circumstances. Become a product of the choices that you make daily. There's always a choice that you can make. And yeah, I think that's good for now. We'll go into the verse of the day.
This is Matthew chapter 7, verses 1-6. He goes, Christians should judge with mercy and without hypocrisy. Short and concise. That's it.
Amen.
And that's a good way to start off the year. You know, like, there's going to be times where we all slip up, right? And you know, like, especially when it comes to resolutions, I find that when you're going through a resolution by just yourself, it's a lot of stress that you're putting on yourself. So I think that you go through that resolution with prayer, you know, with that constant conversation with God, like, you know, keep giving me that strength. And what you said about tell the devil to, you know, to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have to say that
straight
because
up.
Like when you speak it into reality, it becomes like a part of like what's actually going on in front of you.
Yes.
So sometimes you got to put that energy out there, and you know, we shouldn't be judging other people just because we think at this time we're doing better than them, or, you know, we're not struggling with the same things that person is struggling with.
Amen.
So like that's a very good verse to start the year off with, and, you know, to remember that hypocrisy exists like with all of us too.
Yes.
Even in the subconscious, like sometimes I catch myself that, you know, like I'm being a hypocrite, even though I might not be doing the same thing as someone else. The thought, or like even that I did that same thing in the past, that's being a hypocrite. Because just because you're past doing like an addiction, or you're past living a certain way, and you see someone else doing it now, I shouldn't have the right to look down at that person because I was there at one time as well.
Exactly.
So, you know, like just because your circumstance changes today, that doesn't give you the right to look down at someone or try to be like, that person's a loser, or, you know, like that guy's whack.
Exactly.
Because we were all there at one point.
Yep. And I think a lot of people going into the new year, you're right. A lot of people going into the new year now, it's, you know, you could be living a bit with some judgment and some hate in your heart, and it's time to let that go to God, you know, and you got to ask God for forgiveness. You know, I think it's the biggest thing too, is we have a hard time with love because we can't forgive ourselves. We can't forgive others who are close to us at a time. So that might be a friend, an ex-girlfriend, an ex-wife, an ex-husband. You got to pray for them and ask for forgiveness, because it's about you at the end of the day too, in your life, and God forgave you. God forgave Aaron and I. So God bless.
And open the goddamn rinks.
There we go. Play some hockey.
Good episode today.